K-Rock Mid-Atlantic Rock Reviews MARR Army Rock Show. I am here with Brian from 10 Years. Their newest release, How to Live as Ghost, is a great album out right now, man. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks, man. Thank you.
So it's been a little bit since we talked. I've caught you out in Las Vegas recently, and catch us up a little bit. Tell us a little bit more about the most recent record, the production of it, and how long that thing was in the works.
So the album came out last October 2017, and a guy named Nick Raskulinecz produced it. We were super fortunate to work with him. I produced the last two albums, and being so far inside of it, because I was writing the songs, playing most of the instruments, and then producing and mixing, it really took away perspective and objectivity to me sometimes. So this time around, working with a legend like Nick, who has worked with Foo Fighters, Deftones, Alice in Chains, he's doing the new Hailstorm right now. He's such a good producer, and it was nice to have somebody else steer the ship this time. You know, it allowed me to just be creative and not worry so much about all the other elements involved in making a record. But we hit the road mid last year and have been going strong ever since. And we're about to release our new single, which is a song called Burnout. And we're probably going to release 3 singles from this album. So we still have a ton of touring to do.
Now, I was going to ask you, I had my kind of fingers crossed for Blood Red Sky. It was out there, my fingers are crossed. Tell me about the decision to release the single that's coming out.
Well, I mean, I guess for the first time, the band was actually like, we had our hands in the air going, we don't really know. We love them all, and we would be happy with any one of those songs being a single. And I think, you know, the label was pushing for Burnout, and you know, if they're going to get behind it and if radio will embrace it, then we're stoked on it. I love Blood Red Sky as well. I mean, that was on a solo EP of mine originally. It was written with such a different context, but I'm stoked it made it on, and I'm glad people enjoy it. So thank you.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite track on the record, to be quite honest with you. Talk a little bit about the evolution of the record. Do you guys see this as an evolution of the band, or in some ways, because of the history of the band, more of a throwback for the band? Which would you say?
It's oddly, it's both simultaneously. I mean, however that can work in the universe, but it is, because me, Jesse, and Matt, the other guitar player, when we get into a room together, it's interesting because it's almost like the songs write themselves, and we don't really communicate with one another during the writing process either. We just get in a room and somebody starts making noise, and we just look at each other, and I know what Matt's gonna do, he knows what I'm gonna do. We almost have like designated voids that we all fill with the creation of the songs, and it's an unspoken thing. We just do it, and then melodies start happening, and it just it's a cool thing, because what it is that when the three of us are together, it's a throwback to how we started out in the early days, but then now that we're older and more mature and we can communicate better when we need to, and we have more of a solid head on our shoulders now, so it's a rebirth of the same thing, if that makes sense, but it's just an expanded version now.
Now, listening to that process, I'm kind of fascinated by that. So when you mentioned Jesse's there doing that stuff, is he just like scatting or something, or is he actually writing lyrics or singing? What does that look like in the studio?
A lot of times it's just we hunt for melodies, and so oftentimes what we do is when we're writing the music, he's not usually writing lyrics or even melodies. Maybe at that point what he's doing is he's more getting a vibe of what the song is making him feel, and then after the music is done, then usually he goes away with it and tries to figure out what he wants to do vocally, and then I also help with that as well. So basically he and I kind of both brainstorm independently sometimes, and then what we do is we bring our vocal ideas together, and then just whatever the best idea is wins.
Hey, I want to ask you about the music video to Novocaine. Tell us a little bit about that video and the artwork behind it, all that good stuff behind it.
We shot that in Knoxville, our hometown in Tennessee, and it's you know, I mean, really, we just wanted to have imagery that depicted the sentiment of the lyric, which is basically, you know, sometimes it's best to break things up in your life and don't let the routine make you go numb. And that's really where the song came from. Was it's funny because Jesse was sitting down. He has a little desk at his house where he tries to write lyrics at, and he was sitting there and he was like, I feel like I've written about everything I can write about, and he was like, this feels so routine to me. And the thought of that, of wow, I need to break this monotony to try and get creative again. And in doing so, that's what the song's about. So it's about just the monotony of life in general. But I think that is a good thing to sometimes, you know, mix things up a little bit, you know.
Hey, we're here at a festival, and you guys have really kind of become like a festival, you know, huge arena crowd band. Do you ever miss doing the intimate clubs?
Well, I mean, you know, what we do now is that we're at the level where we still have a good mix of all that. We do a lot of the big festivals and the arena shows, and then we'll go off and do, you know, some smaller shows as well. So I think having the mix of it is really nice because we get to get on the big stage and look out and see 10,000 people sometimes, and then other nights we are connecting with, you know, only 1,000 people on a really intimate level, and sometimes those are the best ones, you know. They're the most intimate and the most passionate sometimes.
You know, I've seen you guys so many times, and I know that you guys got to play Wasteland. You always got to play it. Is there a fan? What's the next fan favorite besides Wasteland? I'm going to ask you the same question about the new record too.
Okay, so Shoot It Out is a big one with the fans because, you know, I mean, it's an aggressive song and people like to go to a show and have a release, you know. So Shoot It Out's a big one. But I have to say, in the past 6 months or so, Novocaine has really started to connect. And, you know, we thank radio for that. And it's interesting because we have fans that are showing up to the shows now, and I'll see them standing there the whole show and not singing anything, not even Wasteland. And then we get to Novocaine, and they know every word, and so it's showing me that, you know, we're still reaching new people, and that's cool. You know, I just hope that they go back to the back catalog as well. You know, but I'm glad that Novocaine is definitely connecting with people.
So one of the things I've always been taken with your band, well, two other things. One, and we alluded to a little bit, I just want to, as fans, thank you guys for being so fan-friendly as a band. I tell people that don't know your band, you will find them walking around the show. You will find them at their merch booth, and I guess that's always been something for you guys, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's a connection, and, you know, Jesse, I have to admit, being the singer, and you know, most eyes are on him. He's really, really good about that, and I think that really fuels him, is making the connection with the fans and seeing that what we do means something to people, you know, and when it means something to them, we're gratified by creating these songs because they mean something to us to begin with, but then seeing that it helps somebody else is like the icing on the cake too.
So the other trademark for you guys, I always tell people, you never know what Jesse's going to do on stage. Like, I've seen him come out in fur coats. I've seen him come out with marker all over him. Has there ever been one that you just kind of shook your head and said, I don't know, man?
Well, I mean, you know, for me, I wouldn't necessarily go out in a wedding dress, but if he wants to, then good for him. That's fine. He can, I mean, because, you know, either way, he's getting a reaction. And that's kind of the point, you know. So
is that the most outrageous one? What's the most outrageous one you've seen him do over the years? Because you guys been together a long time.
Boy, maybe anything in female clothing, I think, is usually outrageous because it's never, it doesn't fit quite right, and there's always toes of certain matter sticking out. So those are a little weird, but you know, I guess it works.
Well, Brian, man, I appreciate you being here. How to Live as Ghosts is out right now. We're here at Earth Day Birthday. We're going to see you again in the summer out at Shiley Acres and a million other festivals. So thanks so much for being back on the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. Appreciate you having me.